basically it's just a bunch of goofy questions. It's really not very serious or anything. But I'm just gonna give you 60 seconds and just make it through like as many as you can, basically. All right, gonna go real fast. All right. Favorite season?
Favorite season? Winter.
Winter. Okay. Are you left-handed or right-handed?
Right-handed.
Okay. Do you like to drive?
Do I like to drive?
Yeah.
Love it.
Okay. Are you Coke or Pepsi?
Neither.
Oh, okay. What's your favorite ice cream flavor? That's a tough one.
Stracciatella.
Oh, interesting. What's that?
Well, it's mainly found in gelato. However,
Oh, yeah.
stracciatella. But as far as like ice cream, like actual ice cream, I'm gonna have to go with my mom's favorite, which is mint chocolate chip.
Yes, that's my favorite. That's honestly my favorite too. I didn't know the stracciatella, but I love mint so much. Okay, creamy or crunchy peanut butter?
Crunchy.
Crunchy. Interesting. Do you call it soda or pop?
Soda.
Soda? Okay. See, Midwest, all pop. It's all pop up here. Are you coffee or tea?
Tea.
Tea? Okay, that's a different one, honestly. We get a lot of coffee. All right, okay, and here's the last one, most embarrassing one. Who was your first celebrity crush? And if you have to think about it, take a second.
Oh, I have to like go back to. Oh my god. I think could it have been? It probably was Justin Timberlake. I think. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. That adds up.
You, JT, it just match made in heaven.
I get a lot of cartoon characters, honestly. A lot of people are like Simba from Lion King or
So there's something called like bestiality, and I think that they should like look into that issue within
Oh, come on. You've never been there's no cartoon character from your childhood that you were like, oh, he's kind of cute, she's kind of cute.
Well, I think Aladdin was
Yes, absolutely.
was cute. Who else? Calvin John Smith from Pocahontas.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're kids. We're all kids. You're impressionable.
I'm like, oh, but then at the end of Beauty and the Beast, when that prince came out, I was like,
Oh.
take me, honey.
Yeah. And a redheaded prince too. You don't get a lot of redheaded princes, I feel like, in like Disney movies.
Been a lot of redheaded princes. I mean, there's definitely been, Ariel. There's been Giselle from Enchanted.
Or I don't know what's the girl's name from Brave? Yeah. Brave. Yeah, Merida, I think, or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, probably or something like that. Yeah, something Celtic.
Well, thanks for that. Thanks for indulging me in that. That was fun. Now to get to the serious stuff, I actually have a lot of questions about Avalanche, and I wanna get some answers from you about that. But before we dive fully into Avalanche, I just wanted to know a little bit about you personally and about like how you started out with music and stuff like that. I know that you started taking classes really young from just a little bit of research, but you ended up going to college actually instead of going directly into a music career. Tell me about that. Did you really going to college? Did you think about maybe not going to music afterwards? Just curious.
So it all started when I graduated high school. I was already starting to plant my feet into the music aspect, into the music business. You know, I was going for different classes and workshops in Los Angeles and in New York alike, and I was very excited. I was very excited about getting myself into the business. But graduating high school, my mom said, I'll still support your music, but you're going to go and get a college degree and have a degree in something else. One, to add longevity to your life. Two, to layer you and to give you another set of skills that can propel you. And thirdly, so that when you're being interviewed, you don't sound like, and I'm gonna say this right now, so you're not dropping things like, you know. Yeah. So, and that's why we're having a wonderful conversation. So, but I went to college and I got a degree in communications, broadcast journalism, and international business, and. Yeah,
I went to college for international business too. Actually, it's really fun.
We're into club.
A club I didn't expect to exist.
Sure. Yeah, and then just I enjoyed the college experience. It put a lot of things into perspective. I learned a lot. I got those sets of skills and that knowledge, and most importantly, I was able to organically grow and develop myself as a woman, as an artist. Because keep in mind, during the whole time I was going to college, I was still singing live gigs and doing what I needed to do on my end as far as keeping it bubbling and keeping the energy there. So and I was always writing songs and releasing them, doing music videos. So I was definitely active, more on a part-time level. But as soon as I graduated college, and that's when it was time to hit the ground running, essentially.
Yeah, just go full into it.
Just go full in, yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. That's awesome. And now you're here. That's crazy.
Yes.
So I know that you grew up in Boca Raton, and you still live there now, correct? Right?
Yes, I still live here primarily.
I just wanted to know what's one thing about Boca Raton that people wouldn't know that you want people to know? Like what's something about your hometown that you would like to shout out, I guess?
So I know that the whole stigma behind and perception of Boca is, you know, we're all snobs, you know, we're all affluential, you know, a-holes that don't give a crap about what anyone like thinks or feels, but that's really not the case. Like there are actually, Boca Raton is a community of wonderful philanthropic people who really just like to yes, they love to socialize, they love to go to events and have their pictures taken and yada yada. But they do it with such support and such ingenuity, and that can be arguable. But from what I've experienced growing up here is that it's basically like the Beverly Hills of Florida, and everyone here has just been so pleasant, and especially for me as a growing artist, everyone has just been so supportive, and I've done my abundant share of giving back to the community as far as different organizations and that of the sort. So so that's one thing about Boca Raton is that, you know, we're the whole stigma that we're all snobs is, you know, it's funny and it's laughable because it's like an inside joke here. But no, everyone has been really nice.
Sounds like an amazing place to start a music career, honestly, with a lot of supportive people.
Absolutely, definitely.
What about the music scene, I guess, in Boca? is there a place that you went to when you were younger to go watch music, or do you feel like it's had an influence on your music now?
So the venues that I've performed at have been lounges, piano, wine bars,
Yeah, yeah.
restaurant establishments. Uh, but there are some really cool venues that that are made for music, and I've performed at those as well. So, but all in all, it's just been me developing myself and being given those intimate settings to really to do so, and that's been great. But the surrounding cities such as West Palm, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, those offer more of those big room, clubby sort of atmospheres and environments. And so I've also performed in those as well, given my track record and history with being on the Billboard dance chart and having charting hits and performing those locally, regionally, nationally, internationally. So, but it all rippled from being in Boca.
That's really cool. And those
Yeah,
small places, that's where you hone your skills. I mean, that's way more difficult than playing to a huge crowd. You really have to connect with a small group of people. That's challenging. It's a good place to kind of what do they call it? Cut your nails on.
absolutely, and just filing your nails. Yeah.
Sure, sure. So, okay, I got a bunch of questions about Avalanche. Um, I was watching the music video today, and it's really, really, really cool. I was noticing that a lot of your other hits have so far have been much more upbeat, kind of dance tracks,
Yeah.
and this one is definitely a bit of a departure, a bit more of like a ballad. And
Mhm.
I was wondering to know, like, what your vision behind kind of changing the direction of your sounds is.
So the Billboard dance hits that I've had have been wonderful. They've set a tone. They've set a traction, and they've set milestones for me. When I got involved with the management team that I am currently with right now, they just wanted to broaden me, which I've always wanted to do. It just it takes certain individuals to bring that out of you and to make that happen. So I was then introduced to Mark Mangold, who's worked with Cher, Michael Bolton, Jordan Sparks, a lot of cool names. He and I got together and we created this concept called Avalanche, and we just ran with it. And it's it's that kind of song that showcases the dynamicism within my vocals, because I am classically trained. I have roots in musical theater, in jazz. So the dance hits explored some cool parts of my voice, but Avalanche is that song to set another tone, in that I can then broaden my horizons, and I can go after those bigger lands.
Gotcha.
And so that's why I have Song of Hope releasing in January, which is another power ballad. And then after Song of Hope, I have another song that I'm working on, that in a series of songs that are like this, that really, and I don't want to hype it up too much, because I just like to have the work speak for itself. But all I can say is that the concepts that we have coming out next year they'll, like I said, I don't want to hype it up too much, but
I want to hear you talk about yourself. You guys,
yeah.
that's okay.
Well, all I can say is that it's a mixture between like cinematic and just excellence. So, and that's all that I can really really say.
Super excited. That sounds incredible.
Yeah, but so Avalanche is definitely, I mean, some people can say that it's a departure, but I see it as more of an expansion on.
A logical next step for you, honestly. Like that
Yeah.
it fits your voice perfectly. It's like no doubt. But I it's cool to see an artist kind of flex their range at the also. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what were your what was the emotional nature of that? Was it inspired by the people that you're working with? Is it kind of what you were saying? It sounds like.
So I was working with Mark Mangold. This was written back in January, the pre COVID, and he came into the room that I was just chilling at, and he said, "I have this concept. It's called Avalanche. I want to play it for you." So I go into his studio. We sit at the piano, and he just starts playing. And he brings out his tape recorder, and then I just started singing what's now the verse melody. It just came to me so autonomously, and then that's what became the melody, and we just created from there and built it up to where it is now.
That's incredible. That's so cool.
Yeah.
You just came up with it like on the spot with a little bit of like just push from him.
Yeah, that's usually how it works with me. Just stuff just like channels from, I don't know where it comes from, but it just channels through, and I heard the melody, and it just came out of me, and then we laid down the lyrics based on that. So we set a track, and then we put the train cars on it, if you will.
Gotcha. Very cool. That's really interesting. Were you recording the song during COVID, or was it all done before that had hit entirely?
So we got it all in before the big hurricane hit.
Yeah, really. Wow, that's really lucky. Yeah.
We got all the furniture in from the patio. We got it all in before the hurricane hit.
Giant piano ice sculpture in, bring it in. I gotta. So was that idea? Was the piano ice sculpture? Was that your idea? Because that was so. I thought that was so cool.
Well, so I was actually telling family friends this whole story last night at Christmas dinner, but so this whole ice sculpture piano idea came from the director Tolga, who directed Avalanche and also who directed SoFly. But so when we were on a brainstorming call, I was in my car driving, and you know how I like to drive. So I was taking my weekly Saturday drive on A1A, which is like the ocean highway. And I was just in my zone, and we were talking and brainstorming about different ideas, going over the logistics, and he said, "Oh, I have this guy who makes ice sculptures of anything the mind can imagine," and he said, "Wouldn't it be cool to have an ice sculpted piano?" And I kid you not, I almost crashed. I was like, ice sculpted piano, why not? I was like, don't threaten me with a good time. So I love that idea, and I have to say that, you know, telepathy is a real thing, and the and the subconscious is a real thing, because I was feeling that same thing, and he just
pulled it right out. Yeah,
he said it for me. I was like, I knew that that this ice sculpted piano was gonna be, you know, the heavy hitter, like the piece de resistance of the video,
Yeah,
and to be involved. And he just manifested it and brought it into the project.
that's so cool. That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, it pulls it off really well. It definitely feels like it.
Cold too. I mean, like I had to sit on it and my butt got numb.
I was
And
gonna
like,
say, so I'm so sorry, you cut out there for a second. Say that last part again.
no, I said, and my hands got numb too because in the video I'm like touching it, and I had to do several takes touching it too. So, and then my hair got wet, but
I was gonna say you had that cool album cover of your like face on it. I was like, that looks awesome but painful at the same time. Like,
yeah, everyone was like, were you taking a nap on the piano?" I'm like, I mean, I can't possibly take a nap on that thing. It's freezing, but
well, that's really cool. That's a unique experience. I guess I've never seen anyone
yeah.
incorporate a nice sculpture or something like that before. So,
Yeah.
I guess the other question I had about the song was you worked with Kenny Aronoff on this song. Is that correct?
He
What was
did.
it? Yeah.
What?
I was just saying, what was it like working? I don't know if you got to actually interact with him that much, or if he was just in the studio, or.
So I just recently met him in person. Like I've met him on phone calls on Zoom, but I was in LA a few weeks ago, and we ended up having a physical in-person meeting, and it was great. I mean, both Kenny and I get along so well. We both had like this similar just like IDGAF, like I don't give a good attitudes, and yeah, it was a really fun time. But yeah, he had done the drums on the track pre all of this, so yeah. And then I met the wizard behind my percussion recently, and it was great.
That's cool. That's really cool. So I think you already answered my last question here, but I just want to give you a chance to answer it again. You're talking about doing some more songs that were kind of in this genre. Is that building up towards an album that you think you're release of all of these songs, or
Yeah.
I guess what's next for you?
Yeah, so an album of some sort will be released next year. Probably spring or summer, I have to say. Yeah, but when everything comes back to life, that's when it'll drop. Cause then it'll have more effect and more impactful. Because then I can actually be out and tour, and do active things.
Yeah. Have you been writing a lot while you're just kind of quarantined and stuff, or?
Yeah, I've actually written and recorded a handful of songs virtually and remotely during these whole times. So the momentum for me really hasn't stopped at all. So it's been good to keep that up and keep my own machine pumping out stuff.
Yeah, it's all about you to keep that content going.
That's regardless of whether there's a global pandemic or not.
We're gonna keep looking and keep listening. Yeah. You have a studio in your house? Do you have a place to record?
I have a studio that I go to in Fort Lauderdale, and I also have another studio around here, and I have another studio that I've been recording vocals out of in Pittsburgh. So.
Well, that's pretty much all the questions I've got, Kendra. But
well, it was fun. I like the whole runoff, the quick questions in the beginning. Yeah, that was fun. I like doing stuff like that.
yeah, I don't know. so many. I've just done interviews, and sometimes they're just, I don't know. I just feel bad asking people the same questions every time, and kind of, I don't know. Some of these questions you get to know people more from their weird, like just weird little quirky things that they answer with.
You want to just get to the bottom of that person's personality, which is important, especially when, because I always say that from my observation, especially in the music world today, everyone's just like this like puppet, this robot, you know. And then when you meet them, there's not much inside, you know,
Yeah,
because they
program like media marketing kind of machine. Yeah.
Yeah, so but for me, being a person and having a sense of self is really important, and I think that just came from me just having not selling out so young, and actually going through that college experience, the growing up process. Yeah,
In some way, yeah.
exactly, and I always say this is something that I've theorized, and also it's sort of like there's some advice sprinkled in there as well. But for future artists, you know, you have to treat yourself like you're in the hospitality industry, essentially, and that like you as the artist, you have to see yourself as like a restaurant. Because as we all know, you can go to a really fancy, elaborate restaurant where the food is amazing. However, if the service is bad and they're not as engaged with you, you're not going to want to go back to that restaurant. And it's the same thing. You're not going to want to listen to that person's music anymore, because you've had a bad experience with them from a human being standpoint. Now, if you go to a restaurant and the food is acceptable, you know, the ambiance is whatever the case may be, but the service is interactive, engaging, and friendly, you're going to remember that, and you're going to go back to that restaurant because you had an enjoyable experience. And that's the same thing to say about some of the other artists that I met that are actually, you know, humble and down to earth and friendly. I'm like, yes, I will still listen to your music, and I will still frequent your content and what you have to give. So that's just how I see things, and I like to be that artist that is, you know, engaging, interactive, and that, you know, is not afraid to really show all aspects of myself.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that's really good advice. I think it's very honest, and I mean, there's a lot of good music out there. There's a lot of good food out there. You got to do something like that sets yourself apart and makes people say, "Oh, I really like this person. I wanna like, I relate to the music." I think that liking and being able to relate to the artist is, like, I think you're right. I think it's incredibly important with being able to connect to.
It just deepens the whole meaning even more so.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a great answer, Kendra. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Max. It was fun.
I'm gonna let you go and get back to your day, but yeah, again, just thanks so much for the chat. It was really nice, and good luck with you. Good luck with the music. Good luck with everything.
Thank you so much, and have a wonderful holiday season and a very happy New Year.
Good. Happy holidays.
You too.